Hey everyone, my name is Gamer Corey and welcome back to another Red Dead Online video. Now in this video, I do want to continue the series of helping some of the new players make some extra cash here in Red Dead Online, or maybe some of the recurring players coming back into Red Dead Online that just want to be able to make some extra cash that might not know about some of these opportunities. But I thought this was really funny. I had to mess around with this horse because it was completely glitched out down here in Blackwater, and I'm just gonna kind of leave this on the screen for you guys and just kind of go over the start of basically what we're going to be doing throughout the rest of this video. Now, this is going to involve mostly being alone down in Blackwater. Now, that can be a little bit tricky, but all you need to do is spawn in like Ambarino or really far north or really far south. And sometimes Tumbleweed doesn't always work, so I definitely recommend that you guys do some of the more northern states and then fast travel down to Blackwater, and then you guys won't necessarily have any issues. But basically what we're going to be doing is we are going to be fishing lake sturgeon. Now, I know that some people actually had some issues fishing lake sturgeon in the past, but I'm about to show you guys that I actually fished in the spot for about an hour straight. I don't think it was actually quite that long, and watch the value of my fish. It never goes lower than $7.25. So I tried as hard as I possibly could to go ahead and get worse fish, except for, I mean, besides not shooting them, just fishing them and seeing if I could get something that was lower value, and have never received that. And even before the new release of Red Dead Online, I still haven't received any other amount of money for any of the lake sturgeon other than $7.25. But let's go ahead and kind of just talk about obviously where I'm at. So we're down in Blackwater, and for the most part, I'm just fishing the shore that is pretty much right across the street from the Blackwater Butcher. Now, if you guys can't find a sturgeon in one place, then all you have to do is walk up and down the shore, and you'll be able to find lake sturgeon after a while. Now, the one thing that I do have to disclaim in this video is that at the beginning, I said that you mostly want to be down in Blackwater by yourselves. Now, having even one other person can completely mess up the flow of the fish that are going to be spawning here in this location. Now, one thing that I really want you guys to notice in the video is not a lot of other fish are spawning in this area. You're pretty much only going to see a couple small ones, whether it's the pickerels or like a rock bass or a bluegill or something like that that's spawning along with the lake sturgeon. Now, before this last update, basically what was happening is you get a ton of fish to spawn, including all the smaller ones, and then you'd have to maybe possibly fish out some of the smaller ones, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. And like I said, I was doing this for a while down here in Blackwater, and for the most part, I was by myself. There was a few times that I actually had to leave and then come back just because I was waiting for that person to go ahead and leave the area just so that I could actually start fishing again. Now, eventually I got a couple other people that were fishing with me, which actually caused some fish glitching with the lake sturgeon, and you guys will actually notice that later. Now, obviously, I'm right across the street from the butcher, so I can literally just take this lake sturgeon, run across the street, and then go ahead and sell it to the butcher down here in Blackwater. Now, the really nice thing about the update, now we have the offensive and defensive playing styles, so you guys can go ahead and put yourself in a defensive play style and not be bothered too terribly much. Now, specifically, I am actually still in the offensive play style, and I never once had any issues when people actually did come into Blackwater shoot me. Now, before the update, I actually got a lot of people that would come down here and shoot me and cause all kinds of havoc for me before the update. But since the update, people have pretty much left me alone, and I think it's honestly because of the pressing charges option that we now have if people just start griefing you for no apparent reason. Not only that, but it doesn't affect somebody else's bounty if you initiate the fight anyway. So obviously that's never going to be me. So I never really have to worry about that anyway. So I left it on offensive mode just because that way I can actually basically grief griefers if that's truly the case. If someone's going to try to start something here down in Blackwater. But there's a couple different methods that you could do. You could store one on your horse like I'm doing right here. And then you could catch another lake sturgeon. So if you actually see a couple that are spawning in the area, then call your horse over and then fish out the other one. And then run across the street, which is what you're going to see me doing later after I catch this next lake sturgeon. And then I'm going to call my horse and then sell both of them at the same time. And that's $14.50 easy money just to be had by just chilling out in Blackwater. And you're really close to a butcher. Like I mentioned before, the only downfall to this is if one person happens to come along, it could mess up the entire fishing experience. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to ruin it for you by griefing you. For whatever reason, the spawn rates change when somebody else comes into Blackwater. I don't know why Rockstar decided to change this, or maybe it was kind of a glitch change. But as soon as somebody else comes into Blackwater, it's pretty much game over. Now, the only exception I saw to this is if somebody happens to be in a defensive playing style, then the fish will seem to still spawn for you guys, which is really interesting. But the issue that I was having, and you're going to see it here in just a little bit, is that the fish themselves would start to glitch out. Like they would just be frozen, like in a frozen lake, and they're not able to move. That's just what it seemed like. There was a couple things that I tried doing, and I don't think I actually showed it in the video. I think I might have cut it out. But obviously, right here, I was having some problems with getting the horse close enough to me, and it seemed like I couldn't sell the lake sturgeon until I could actually sell both of them. So it was kind of peculiar. So I kept on trying to sell it to the butcher, and then eventually I was able to, no problem. But once the fish got frozen, so to speak, what I was doing is I actually ran in there and shot at them with a shotgun, and then I didn't even damage them, which was really interesting, but eventually they swam away, and then I was able to cast out my line and then catch them. But for the most part, I am just fishing on the little bit of an incline along this shoreline right here, just right across the street from the butcher, which is really easy. But you can kind of see basically to the right of my screen here, all the shoreline that you guys can go ahead and just kind of run around, because you can't see all the way to that tip there if there's a lake sturgeon just out there. So you could just go ahead and run out there and then check there and then come back if they're not really there. Now, if for whatever reason there aren't any of the lake sturgeon spawning in the area and there are no other players close to you, then what you're going to need to want to do is just ride out of Blackwater. You don't have to go very far. For the most part, you just want to get outside of the spawn rate, which is a little bit further than what's on the minimap. I would pretty much just rode outside of Blackwater. I did something outside of Blackwater, and then I came back to Blackwater right away. So actually I think in between there, I actually went and encountered a random event, and then I had to take a guy down to, I had to save him and then take him down to Thieves Landing and then drop him off, and then I actually came right back, and then the fish started spawning again. And that's when this guy in a defensive mode was actually here, and it was causing a little bit of issues at first. And you're seeing me check the map here. I'm like, what is this guy doing? Is he chilling out at the butcher? Is he, like, I couldn't figure out what he was doing, and then I was like, aha, he's in a defensive playing style, and that's actually why I can't truly see him. So at this point, I think eventually I have somebody else standing on the docks over here that was fishing with me. And again, that was causing problems for the fish actually spawning the way that they needed to, so you could continuously make $7.25. I didn't keep track about how many fish I actually caught, but I think I did go up, a few $100 from about like a 50-minute session or whatnot. Again, it's completely dependent on whether or not somebody else is in the vicinity of your character. So you guys are just going to want to keep that in mind. But you know what? A couple $100 for just chilling and having a good time fishing is really not that bad. The other thing that you have to remember is this doesn't really cost any money. Once you buy your special lake lure or special river lure, you'll never lose it. So that means if for whatever reason the fish happen to break your line, you actually don't lose the lure. You just have to basically recast it out and start over again. So that's kind of what I recommend that you guys go after right away, because if you only go after the lake or river lure or swamp lures, then if a fish breaks them, then that lure is gone permanently. And I know that I had a lot of people asking those questions in my comments before, but special lures are the way to go. They will cost a little bit more. I think it's like 4 gold bars or a dollar amount once you hit a certain level. And I can't remember what the dollar amount was. I think it was like $25, which isn't too terribly bad, but you can't spend the $25 until you're a specific level. Whereas if you're a lower level, then you can spend the gold and then have access to these amazing lures. And once you get that, there's no other cost to you to go fishing. It's all completely free money after that. Whereas anything else that you do, unless it's fishing obviously related, but anything else that you do in Red Dead Online going forward, there's a cost to it, whether it's ammo for going hunting or even playing PvP, as it actually has a little bit of a cost to it as well, because you're paying for the ammo, and obviously you have like the wait times between them. Now you can see that at this point there was a couple people down by the butcher in Blackwater, but they were both in like the defensive mode, and I don't know if they were really at the butcher or not, but they were kind of blurred out for me. So I think they were at the butcher. It was just kind of hard to tell. But anything else that you do in the game, there's a little bit of cost to make some profit. Obviously, Showdown is one of the only ways that you can really get gold, money, and experience points right now, except for the new missions. But kind of take it or leave it. I enjoy fishing in the game, and I definitely recommend that you give this Blackwater method a try, especially if you're a brand new player coming to Red Dead Online. This is going to help you guys make a lot of money pretty quickly in the beginning of the game. I think you only have to be like a level 10 in order to start fishing and getting the fishing pole and have access to some of the lures. But that is all the time that I have for in today's video. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down below, and I'll do my best to help you out, or somebody in the community can definitely do that as well. But until next time, YouTube, you guys keep doing what you're doing because you're already doing it, and you guys stay gaming.